Let us have a look at these 7 questions. You have 7 minutes to complete these 7 questions. Please have a look at them. Question number 1, question 2, question 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Let us look at the first question. If inventories increased during 2010, which of the following statement is correct? So whenever inventories are increasing, it means that you have produced more than what you can sell, right? So the total sales of final goods and services in 2010 were higher than their production. No, that's wrong. Production is more than sales. The total production of final goods and services in 2010 exceeded their sales is right. Then only inventories are built up. GDP for 2010 will be reported as lower than its actual value because of inventories? No, because GDP is calculated on the basis of production and not on sales, right? So B is going to be the correct answer, right? Okay. Then, in the calculation of GDP, how are social security payments treated? See, these are transfer payments. And transfer payments, they are just redistributing income from one class to the another class. They are not adding anything to the new production of goods and services. So they are not the part of GDP, right? GDP includes only the spending on final goods and services. So transfer payments are excluded from GDP. C. Which of the following scenarios could result in both labor force participation rate and the unemployment rate declining? Think about it. Labor force participation rate would include both people who are employed plus unemployed. Unemployed means those who are actively looking for job. Your unemployment rate is the percentage of people who are unemployed uh, divided by the total labor force, right? Okay, now just look at the first one. 5 lakh unemployed individuals stop seeking jobs. So if they have stopped seeking jobs, naturally they are out of the labor force now. So a labor force would include only employed and unemployed. They are out of the labor force. Why? Because they're not seeking jobs. So labor force has gone down and also unemployment has gone down. Unemployment would mean person should be actively looking for the job, right? So A is correct. 1 lakh college graduates who were not previously part of the labor force find jobs. Who were not previously part of the labor force. They were not the part of the labor force now and they are finding jobs. So unemployment is decreasing, right? But because they are not the part of the labor force, but now they are employed. So labor force participation rate is increasing. So this cannot be correct. You want labor force participation rate and unemployment rate declining. Here, labor force participation rate is increasing. 5 lakh workers retire and their positions were not replaced. Right? Naturally, if people are retiring, so labor force participation rate is falling. But they are not unemployed. They are not seeking jobs, right? So it won't change the unemployment rate. So C can't be true. In the question, they have said both labor force participation rate and unemployment rate declining. So A is the correct answer. Right? When B and C are not correct, then D can't be correct. Okay. If the number of discouraged worker rises, how will this impact the unemployment rate and the labor force participation rate? Discouraged workers are those who are not actively seeking jobs. Right? They are so discouraged from looking for jobs that they have stopped looking for a job. They are not treated as unemployed, right? So they are out of the labor force. Because they are out of the labor force participation rate is falling. Because they are not unemployed now, because unemployed persons are only those who are not getting jobs, but they are actively looking for the job. So unemployment rate is also falling. So there is a decrease in both unemployment rate and labor force participation rate. Given the data, given that 2009 is the base year, what is the price index of consumer price index basket in 2003 based on the data provided? So 2009 is the base year. So how do you find out CPI? Cost of basket in the year in which you have to find out upon the cost of the basket in the base year. So 2009 is the base year here into 100. So what is the cost of basket? Just find out for 2003. $1 into 3, $2 into 20, $3 into 3, that is the cost of basket in 2003. 1.5 into 3, 2.5 into 20, 2 into 3, that is the cost of basket in 2009. And you get that as 85.95. So this is not there in either of in any of them, so it is none of the above. Then you have, if real GDP doubles in 14 years, what is the approximate annual growth rate of real GDP? So when you talk about it, there is something which is called rule of 70. So growth rate is found out using 70 upon number of years it takes it to double. So what is given to you in the question, it takes 14 years to double. So 70 upon 14 is 5%. So if GDP is going to grow by 5% every year, then in 14 years, real GDP is going to double. Between 2000 and 2010, CPI increased from 180 to 220, while the nominal wage increased from 20 to 26. How did the real wage change over this period? So what is real wage? W by P, na? You are given with the data of nominal wage. You are given with the data of consumer price index. So you can use that as a proxy for prices. So real wage is W by P. So W is nominal wage, P you are taking as CPI, right? So it is nominal wage 20 upon 180 into 100. 26 upon 220 into 100. You get real wage in both 2000 and 2010. Change in real wage is what? Real wage in 2010 minus real wage in 2000 upon real wage in 2000. And what you get is 6.4%. So there is an increase in real wage of 6.4%, right? Do tell me how many questions you got right. So I hope it was useful to you. Thank you, beta.